They say they are acting on behalf of 35,000 people who purchased tickets to Thursday's practice run that was cancelled after only 9 minutes, without refunds. The lawsuit alleges breach of contract, negligence, and deceptive trade practices against the defendants. We will vindicate the rights of the fans that travelled great distances and paid small fortunes to attend, but were deprived of the experience, said Demopoulos law firm owner and lead attorney Steve Demopoulos. The lawsuit's defendants are Liberty Media Corporation, DBA Formula One Heineken Silver Las Vegas Grand Prix, and Tab Contractors Incorporated. It has been reported that the Vegas Grand Prix officials took steps to mend the relations with angry fans by offering those with single event tickets a $200 discount to the Formula One gift shop. However, the offer doesn't apply to the majority of fans who purchased 3-day passes. Some of the fans were rightfully upset, with one saying it was ridiculous. We waited for 4 hours and they gave us hope. At 2 AM they said we were going to have the race. And then nothing happened. Now they are telling us to leave. So what a night. Another one fumed, saying we came from Los Angeles. We flew only in for today. We spent money on the airplane, tickets for this place, and now nothing. It is certainly very disappointing for the Formula One fans who travelled far and paid small fortunes to be here for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But hopefully now with this class action lawsuit being filed against Formula One, they will hopefully refund their tickets or come up with some other solution. Be sure to let us know in the comment section what you think of this whole debacle concerning the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been Reece on Forever Motorsports. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece and today we'll be speaking about how Max Verstappen's record-breaking 2023 season could still get better at the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But before we get further, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula One news. Whilst the dominant Dutchman will have his eyes firmly set on the chance of overtaking Sebastian Vettel and having third place to himself on the all-time list of race winners in Formula One, he may inadvertently set the bar extremely high for another all-time achievement. Having already sealed a hatful of records throughout the course of 2023, arguably the most impressive of which being the amount of consecutive race wins. Verstappen is currently ahead of Jim Clark's lead lap percentage record, heading into the final race in Abu Dhabi. The Red Bull man has so far led 75% of all laps in 2023, a staggering statistic considering what has been a 22 race season. Clark has held the record for 60 years, since he managed to lead 71.47% of all laps led back in 1963 in his Lotus car. Verstappen though has proven on many occasions that he is the man to break age-old records, and is currently sitting ahead of Clark, Nigel Mansell, Vettel and Michael Schumacher on the all-time list, but it will not be officially sealed until the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi. Do you think he'll be able to take another record this weekend at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Be sure to let us know in the comments section below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been Reece on Forever Motorsports. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece and today I'm here with some breaking news as Mick Schumacher has announced that he'll be moving to Alpine and their World Endurance Championship team for 2024. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula One news. Schumacher moves into World Endurance Championship following a successful maiden test with Alpine at Jerez in October, which was seen as a precursor to potential opportunities to race with the Sinatec Run outfit. The German driver lost his Formula One seat with Haas after 2 seasons, in 2021 and 2022, and spent this year working as a reserve driver for Mercedes, while working towards a potential comeback in 2024. Schumacher's father and 7-time Formula One world champion competed in endurance racing with Sauber Mercedes before making his Grand Prix debut with Jordan in 1991. A new chapter is beginning for me, with Alpine in the FIA World Endurance Championship Hypercar category, said Schumacher. The car is impressive, and I can't wait to get started. I've grown up with single-seaters, so driving a car with a closed cockpit and covered wheels is a great opportunity to hone my driving skills. I sorely missed racing this year. It is what I've loved to do since I was a kid, and it was sometimes difficult to watch the other drivers take to the track. Endurance racing is a new challenge for me, and I'm sure we will share great moments together with Alpine. Alpine is one of the 3 manufacturers joining the World Endurance Championships top class next year, along with BMW and Lamborghini. Its A424 Le Mans Hypercar Division car is based on an Orica LMP2 chassis and is powered by a 3.4 litre single-turbo V6 engine, developed in conjunction with Mick Chrome. I'm very excited to see Mick Schumacher back in a racing seat, even if it is not in Formula 1, and we wish him all the best for the World Endurance Championship in 2024. And we'll be watching him very closely to see what he's able to do in that seat. Be sure to let us know in the comment section what you think of this breaking news about Mick Schumacher moving to Alpine and their World Endurance Championship team in 2024. And be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula 1 news. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece and today we'll be speaking about Pierre Gasly's special helmet that he has unveiled ahead of this weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula 1 news. Pierre Gasly and Alpine sponsor Binance have announced the winner of its global helmet design competition, celebrating fan creativity and engagement in a unique collaboration with Alpine Formula 1 driver Pierre Gasly. The contest drew over 700 entries from more than 140 countries, showcasing the vast creativity of the Binance and Formula 1 communities. The winning design will be worn by Pierre Gasly at this upcoming Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend, as well as its creator will be awarded with a full-sized signed replica. The winner went on to describe their design as such. Inspired by Binance's brand, I made black and yellow the predominant colours. I also gave it a glossy finish to evoke the golden colour and allude to Arabic culture, along with Arabic calligraphy on the sides. Since the race will take place at night, I also used the vibrant pink colour of another sponsor to create a contrast with the rest of the design, making the helmet stand out under the nighttime lights. Pierre Gasly congratulated the winner of the competition and went on to say, "Thanks to all of those who took part. The competition has been a fantastic journey for everyone involved, uniting a community brimming with inventive flair. Having fans from across the world engage with such passion underscores how sport and crypto can forge a more connected and vibrant world. This design truly encapsulates my partnership with Binance and my profound connection to my fans in this race in particular." We're certainly very excited to see Pierre Gasly running his special helmet design this weekend in Abu Dhabi, and it's certainly not going to be very hard to miss as it is very, very bright and will stand out under the lights in the Yas Marina Circuit. Thank you very much for joining me here today on Forever Motorsports. Do be sure to let me know what you think of Pierre Gasly's helmet design in the comments below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been Reece on Forever Motorsports. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece and today we'll be going over the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix preview ahead of this weekend's final round of the 2023 season. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula 1 news. The 2023 Formula 1 season concludes with the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. The upcoming edition holds minimal significance for the top of the drivers' standings, as Max Verstappen and Red Bull have asserted unprecedented dominance throughout the season. This weekend, however, will be crucial for Mercedes and Ferrari, as they are currently separated by only 4 points for second in the Constructors' Championship, with millions of dollars on the line. Spaniards Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso are currently equal on 200 points, with the former being fourth thanks to his win in Singapore, while McLaren's Lando Norris is only 5 points adrift and hoping to end his season on a career high in fourth overall. While Mercedes and McLaren traditionally outperform Ferrari on conventional tracks, the Yas Marina Circuit may provide a different scenario, as Ferrari's SF23 car excels in straight line and performs decently in low-speed corners, meaning that Mercedes will have their work cut out for them this weekend. Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur is less than optimistic about this weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and their fight for second place though. He went on to say, "We have a good understanding of our car and we know it won't be as competitive as it was in the Las Vegas Grand Prix," which is quite disappointing. We hope they'll be competitive enough to take it on to the Mercedes this weekend. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff says he's expecting a closer fight. Ferrari have shown good form recently, but we know we haven't maximised our own performance in the last few races. Both bosses being a little bit more reserved about what they could expect from this weekend's Grand Prix. Yas Marina has been the traditional location for Formula 1's curtain closer, holding finales in 2009 and 2010, and then every season since 2014. It has been the venue for several championship deciders, most famously in 2021, when Max Verstappen was crowned world champion following a last lap pass on Lewis Hamilton. The 16-turn, 5.2km long circuit features 2 lengthy straights and several medium-speed corners, with the track's showpiece now being the long radius Turn 9, which was introduced in 2021, following a renovation to the layout. The final sector, which includes the track passing beneath the W Hotel, was also opened up, leading to lap times approximately 13 seconds faster than the pre-2021 layout, and providing more overtaking opportunities. There's been some resurfacing of a couple of corners, but otherwise the track remains unchanged. The current track record is a 1:22.109, set by Max Verstappen, with the fastest race lap being a 1:26.103, also held by Max Verstappen. Last season, the circuit saw the most overtakes of the season, so here's hoping for some great on-track action. This weekend, we'll see multiple rookies taking part in the FP1 session, as 9 out of the 10 teams are fulfilling their mandatory rookie running. Red Bull will see both drivers replaced in FP1, with Jack Dennis and Ishak Hadjar stepping into the Red Bull seats, with Ferrari's Leclerc being replaced by Robert Schwartzman. Lewis Hamilton will be replaced by Frederick Vesti, and Lando Norris will give up his McLaren seat for Pato Ward. Alpine's Esteban Ocon will see Jack Doohan running in his seat during FP1, as Théo Pourchaire replaces Bottas at Alfa Romeo. Dragovic will replace Stroll at Aston Martin, as all eyes will be on Nico Hülkenberg's replacement, Ollie Behrman, as the last time he went out in FP1, he set the fastest times out of all of the rookie drivers. Zach O'Sullivan will be the last rookie on the grid, replacing Logan Sargent at Williams. This weekend in Abu Dhabi is set to be warm and clear throughout, with only a small drop in temperature expected once the sun sets. With this in mind, Pirelli have brought the 3 softest compounds in their range, being the C5, C4 and C3 tyres. In the past though, we have seen around the circuit that tyre wear is not traditionally aggressive, which could mean more variation in strategies come Sunday. The chance of a safety car around the circuit has increased in the past 4 years, where we have seen 3 safety cars and 3 VSCs, which could become another factor that could throw a curveball at teams on Sunday. This weekend will also be a weekend of goodbyes, as farewell will be said to Alfa Romeo, the title sponsor of Swiss-based Sauber, which is due to become the Audi Works team from 2026. That sponsorship does begin next season in 2024, when they start to take over the team, which means that Alfa Romeo are set to leave the sport. Franz Tost is to leave Formula 1 with his departure from AlphaTauri. Yuki Tsunoda had this to say about Franz Tost's departure. Franz Tost has been the only team boss I've worked with in Formula 1. I feel I've been fighting for him this year, and I really want to beat Williams for him in the last race as team principal. I appreciate what he has done. The only driver that is yet to be confirmed for 2024 is Williams driver Logan Sargent, who will be equally determined to end the year on a high. With 21 races completed so far and only one remaining, Verstappen has dominated the 2023 season, securing his third World Championship and winning 18 of the 21 races. He has the opportunity this weekend to secure another record to his name, as he is currently beating Jim Clark's record of percentage of laps led throughout a season. Will we see Verstappen take another record home this weekend? And who will come out on top between Mercedes and Ferrari for the battle for second in the Constructors' Championship? Be sure to let us know what you think down in the comments below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been Reece on Forever Motorsports. Welcome to the Yas Marina Circuit, home of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The 2023 Formula 1 season concludes this weekend in Abu Dhabi. The Yas Marina Circuit has been the traditional location for Formula 1's curtain closer, holding finales in 2009 and 2010, and then every season since 2014. The 16-turn, 5.2km long circuit features 2 lengthy straights and several medium-speed turns, with the track's showpiece now the long radius Turn 9, which was introduced in 2021 following a renovation to the layout. The final sector, which includes the track passing beneath the W Hotel, was also opened up, leading to lap times approximately 13 seconds faster than the pre-2021 layout. The main overtaking opportunities at this track come in turns 1, 5, 6 and 9, with the current track record being a 1 minute 22.1 seconds held by Max Verstappen, and the fastest race lap being a 1 minute 26 seconds 0.1, also held by Verstappen. This weekend, Pirelli have once again brought the softest compounds in their range, with the C5, C4 and C3 compounds. The most likely starting tyre for the race on Sunday would be the medium compound. The chance of a safety car around the circuit has increased in the past 4 years, where we have seen 3 safety cars and 3 VSCs. This gives a 54% chance that we will get a safety car on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Yas Marina Circuit. Let us know in the comment section who you are supporting for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We hope to see you during our coverage of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece, and today we'll be talking about the winners and losers from the 2023 Las Vegas Grand Prix. The Las Vegas Grand Prix was one of the most exciting of the season, and we certainly had a lot of winners and losers from that race. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula 1 news. A thrilling Las Vegas Grand Prix was certainly one of the best of the season, with drivers jostling for position throughout the race up until the final lap. Today we'll be having a look at some of the biggest losers and winners from the Grand Prix. One of the winners was certainly the Las Vegas Grand Prix itself. After the farcical scenes of Thursday and Friday, this is exactly what the Vegas Grand Prix needed to make a comeback. A smooth Grand Prix with people talking about the racing, not the shambles of the drain covers, was what Formula 1 would have been hoping for, not what we got this weekend though. It was unfortunate that Las Vegas was hit by troubles in the first runnings of FP1 and FP2, given the millions that it had pumped into the Formula 1 race. The efforts to try and block fans without tickets from viewing the race have been laughable as well, with some watching in reflections, riding up and down escalators, or by simply peering through the barriers put in place. The track itself though was decent for racing throughout, with overtaking spots aplenty, and this bodes well for the future of this race. Looking at one of the losers from the Grand Prix weekend was Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez got mugged on the final lap for P2 by Charles Leclerc. For a driver renowned for his defensive racecraft, it was a lapse in judgment that cannot be explained. Even if you thought Leclerc was nowhere near being able to dive bomb you, why wouldn't you not cover the inside line just in case? Sergio Perez decided to run a bigger rear wing this weekend, which meant that he was down in top speed, which would have made it even more difficult to defend from drivers such as Charles Leclerc. But Perez stuck to his line and left a huge door marked P2 available here for Charles Leclerc to barge into, and Charles Leclerc, as we've said, took that P2 on the final lap. Perez though this weekend was able to secure P2 in the Drivers' Championship, which was Red Bull's sole remaining goal for 2023, to round out its greatest season in Formula 1, but also celebrated becoming the first team to win 20 wins in a season. What did Perez say though regarding his race on Sunday? I ended up locking up a few times, but luckily we kept it on track. Then in the end, with Charles, I wasn't expecting him to make the move. Disappointing for Sergio Perez, but still a great race weekend for himself. One of the winners of the weekend was of course Max Verstappen, who went on to win the race. This was Verstappen's 18th win of the season from 21 races. It is his 16th in the last 17 races as well, 6th on the trot, and his 53rd of his career, bringing him level with Sebastian Vettel on 53 for 3rd on the all-time list. That's 26-year-old Verstappen on 3rd on the all-time wins list, behind only Lewis Hamilton's 103 wins and Michael Schumacher's 91. At this rate, he would pass both of those in the late 2026 season. But he had to work very hard for this race win on Sunday. His move on Charles Leclerc in turn 1 was over the top and saw him get a 5-second time penalty. He should have given the place back immediately, but of course he decided to take that 5-second time penalty in the pit phases. His lap 25 move on George Russell that led to the contact at turn 12 also reeked of impatience, but in the end the stewards decided to give George Russell a penalty for that incident instead. He was clearly going to get past with the DRS, but in the end he made that move happen. It was far from a clean drive, but at the end of the day he got the race win. Verstappen's comments at the end of the race went as such: "I didn't mean to push Charles off track, but I couldn't slow it down, and I just kept sliding wide on all 4 wheels. So that's why we had to go wide. At the time you're also full of adrenaline, and I was not happy with the decision, but looking back at it, it was probably the right call." One of the bigger losers from this weekend was Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton was just plain unlucky to receive a puncture for his minor contact with Oscar Piastri that went on to wreck his entire race. By his latest lap 25, he was 15th on the board and climbed to 7th by the flag. That is a job well done on a weekend that Mercedes had pace but just couldn't unlock it. As for Russell, he confessed to the Verstappen contact being his mistake, as he did not see the Red Bull coming, but a 5-second penalty was relatively harsh. Russell rallied to 4th on the road, but with a charging final stint, he dropped to 8th once his penalty was applied. It means that Mercedes' 20-point lead over Ferrari in the Constructors has been whittled down to 4 heading to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. At least that will provide some interesting racing to follow at Yas Marina Circuit. Russell went on to say at the end of the race, "I just totally didn't see him in the blind spot. I wasn't expecting an overtake. I wasn't even really fighting him because we knew Max wasn't in our race." Another winner from the Las Vegas Grand Prix was Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon was dumped in Q1 following a skirmish with Verstappen, but capitalized on the Turn 1 chaos during the race and made up 8 places on lap 1 to climb back to respectability and a base from which he could build his race. His move on Pierre Gasly for 5th was a bit sketchy, with the teammates coming within inches of throwing away a bucketful of points, but the move arguably made Ocon's race, as Gasly became something of a cork, allowing Ocon to escape up the road from the Foster, Carlos Sainz, Russell and Hamilton. He was passed for 4th on the final lap by Russell, but took P4 when Russell's penalty was applied. It was a much needed return to a big result for a driver who has somewhat been in the dumps this season. Ocon's reaction to the race were as such. It was a chaotic start and we managed to keep it clean and gain 8 positions on lap 1. After that, we had to be patient, execute a clean race, and managing the tyres was really the key. I made some good overtakes along the way to finish 4th at this amazing venue. It's really a great result, especially considering how I was feeling after qualifying. One of the losers was his own teammate though, Pierre Gasly. He started 4th and finished down in P11, having been passed by a charging Piastri late on. It was compounded by a miserable night for the Frenchman, who struggled with graining on the hard tyres and lost the pace that he needed to keep going. Alpine seemed to be able to have a great race with one car, but never both. It's time the team worked to rectify that. Gasly said after the race, "It was a disappointing outcome on my side of the garage to go from 4th on the grid to outside of the points in 11th place. There are many things for us to review, and that is not what we've set out to achieve today." Some of the other losers from the Las Vegas Grand Prix was the likes of McLaren and Lando Norris, who crashed out on, I think it was lap 8 of the race, approaching turn 12. He just went over one of the bumps and was unable to hold the car and was careered into the barriers. This caused one of the first safety cars of the race, and disappointing for Lando Norris, but glad to hear that he was alright after he had been checked out at one of the local hospitals. Disappointing for McLaren in a race that we thought they would have been able to have quite a lot of pace with a car that really enjoys high-speed circuits, but in the end Oscar Piastri was able to take the only points position down in P10. It was certainly a very exciting race on Sunday with so much action happening throughout. It has the second most amount of overtakes for the Formula 1 season this year, behind Zandvoort with, I think it was 83, but it just shows we want to see more races like this where we get a lot of overtaking, but at the same time we need to focus on the racing rather than the show of the sport, where we had that FP1 session that was marred by the drain covers not being thoroughly checked ahead of the running. But at least we did get a great race on Sunday, which provided great spectacles for all of us. Thank you very much for watching the video here on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to let us know down in the comments what you thought of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and let us know if you thought there were any other winners or losers from that race. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece, and today we'll be speaking about the class action lawsuit which has been filed against the Las Vegas Grand Prix and Formula 1 on behalf of the 35,000 Formula 1 fans who were unable to watch Practice 1 and Practice 2. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula 1 news. A class action lawsuit has been filed against Formula 1 on behalf of the 35,000 fans who were told to leave Las Vegas practice on Thursday night in between the two sessions. Fans who had paid $200 for tickets saw just 9 minutes of racing because of the chaos that saw the first session wiped out and the second delayed. A loose drain cover ripped into Carlos Sainz's Ferrari and forced the first practice session to be abandoned. The second session was then delayed as organisers rushed to inspect every drain cover on the city's $500 million circuit. It was between this time that Formula 1 fans were told to leave, as Formula 1 chiefs evacuated the area around the track. When the second practice session got underway at 2:30 AM, it took place in front of empty grandstands. A statement to the Formula 1 fans at the time read, "Due to the logistical considerations, for our fans and for our staff, We have made the determination that we will be closing all Las Vegas Grand Prix fan areas at 1:30 a.m. Now, Demopoulos law firm and co-counsel JK Legal and Consulting have filed a class action lawsuit against Formula One Las Vegas Grand Prix in the Nevada State Court. They say they are acting on behalf of 35,000 people who purchased tickets to Thursday's practice run that was cancelled after only 9 minutes without refunds. The lawsuit alleges breach of contract, negligence, and deceptive trade practices against the defendants. We will vindicate the rights of the fans that travelled great distances and paid small fortunes to attend, but were deprived of the experience, said Demopoulos law firm owner and lead attorney Steve Demopoulos. The lawsuit's defendants are Liberty Media Corporation, DBA Formula One Heineken Silver Las Vegas Grand Prix, and Tab Contractors Incorporated. It has been reported that the Vegas Grand Prix officials took steps to mend the relations with angry fans by offering those with single event tickets a $200 discount to the Formula One gift shop. However, the offer doesn't apply to the majority of fans who purchase 3-day passes. Some of the fans were rightfully upset, with one saying it was ridiculous. We waited for 4 hours and they gave us hope. At 2 a.m. they said we were going to have the race. And then nothing happened. Now they are telling us to leave. So what a night. Another one fumed, saying we came from Los Angeles. We flew only in for today. We spent money on the airplane, tickets for this place, and now nothing. It is certainly very disappointing for the Formula One fans who travelled far and paid small fortunes to be here for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But hopefully now with this class action lawsuit being filed against Formula One, they will hopefully refund their tickets or come up with some other solution. Be sure to let us know in the comment section what you think of this whole debacle concerning the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been Reece on Forever Motorsports. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece and today we'll be speaking about how Max Verstappen's record-breaking 2023 season could still get better at the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But before we get further, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula One news. Whilst the dominant Dutchman will have his eyes firmly set on the chance of overtaking Sebastian Vettel and having third place to himself on the all-time list of race winners in Formula One, he may inadvertently set the bar extremely high for another all-time achievement. Having already sealed a hatful of records throughout the course of 2023, arguably the most impressive of which being the amount of consecutive race wins. Verstappen is currently ahead of Jim Clark's lead lap percentage record, heading into the final race in Abu Dhabi. The Red Bull man has so far led 75% of all laps in 2023, a staggering statistic considering what has been a 22-race season. Clark has held the record for 60 years, since he managed to lead 71.47% of all laps led back in 1963 in his Lotus car. Verstappen though has proven on many occasions that he is the man to break age-old records, and is currently sitting ahead of Clark, Nigel Mansell, Vettel and Michael Schumacher on the all-time list, but it will not be officially sealed until the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi. Do you think he'll be able to take another record this weekend at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been Reece on Forever Motorsports. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reece and today I'm here with some breaking news as Mick Schumacher has announced that he'll be moving to Alpine and their World Endurance Championship team for 2024. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest Formula One news. Schumacher moves into World Endurance Championship following a successful maiden test with Alpine at Jerez in October, which was seen as a precursor to potential opportunities to race with the Sinatec Run outfit. The German driver lost his Formula One seat with Haas after 2 seasons in 2021 and 2022, and spent this year working as a reserve driver for Mercedes while working towards a potential comeback in 2024. Schumacher's father and 7-time Formula 1 world champion competed in endurance racing with South.
Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're joined by myself, Reece, and by myself, Mark, and Reece, who's alongside me here, and we are on Forever Sports. And be sure to like and subscribe to this channel and like the video, of course, as we're getting ready for practice 2 here in Abu Dhabi, of course, again, our last weekend of the 2023 season. It's been a long season for everybody involved, and lots has been discovered, lots has been talked about, lots of contentious moments. Lots of, I suppose, some people call boring moments, but an interesting season nonetheless in Formula One once again. And of course, we had the first Las Vegas Grand Prix this season as well, a brand new track on the circuit, which we had last weekend, which was actually a big success in the race itself, although FP1 was a bit of a disaster, and as well as FP2, of course, which was started at 2:30 in the morning. But we are now here in Abu Dhabi, our last race of the season. And we saw practice one, of course, a lot of rookie drivers in it, and they did relatively okay during it. But now we're going to see more true reflections of pace, I think, in this session.
Yes, I think, of course, the majority of the drivers are back in the car now. Majority of the professional drivers, that is. I mean, we had 9 out of 10 teams having rookie drivers in that first practice session. There were 10 in total, with Red Bull having both of their seats occupied by rookies, with Jake Dennis and Isak Hadja. We're currently looking at Jake Dennis being interviewed there. But it was an interesting session. I think certainly one of the standouts, and we spoke about it in our review of that session, the biggest standout was certainly Felipe Drugovich, who had a phenomenal day out in that Aston Martin car. And I'm very excited to see what happens later on when we get Fernando Alonso in that car, because it definitely has pace in it. If a rookie was able to put it in P2.
Well, exactly that. Felipe Drugovich was right up there in terms of times, and it was fantastic to see him doing so well. So that just says an indicator for Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso, with all that experience, and of course being one of the best drivers this season, I'm sure that he'll take that car to new heights and perhaps be one of the fastest cars out there. We will, however, see the Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen into those Red Bull cars again, which we didn't see, of course, in FP1, as both rookie drivers were in. They didn't go around particularly well. Not the greatest session for them in terms of trying to set timings alight, but I think we will see much quicker times for Max Verstappen in that car this session.
Yes, this session is going to be quite a lot faster. There's going to be race runs with the main drivers back in their seats. That is, Lewis Hamilton didn't get any running because he gave up his seat for Frederick Vesti. That's who it is. Yep, a lot of rookies that ran in that first session. So there's going to be a lot of on-track running during the second session to get all of those drivers who weren't taking part in that first practice session up to speed with their teammates.
Yeah, exactly that. So we're just looking also at one of the major talking points from FP1, which is the final turn coming in. Lots of
could be an issue that doesn't really affect the drivers for the race on Sunday. It is very hot now, of course. It was very hot in that first practice session. This session now, this afternoon, is going to be more similar to what we're going to see on Sunday. So there's going to be your quali sims, of course, because it's going to be the same as Saturday afternoon when we have quali, but it is going to be the same as your race on Sunday as well.
Yeah, exactly that. So we did see that final corner being an issue, but we don't think it'll be as big an issue. What was also another issue in FP1 were traffic issues, which we saw in FP1. We saw getting very close together was Logan Sargent, as well as I think it was Jack Doohan. That almost caused a big incident there, one of the major talking points. And also right at the end of the session, we saw the Red Bull being driven by Hadja, of course, getting held up quite badly by a certain Lance Stroll in his Aston Martin as well. So not particularly good to see in terms of having laps ruined, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Abu Dhabi is quite generally forgiving for a lot of drivers in terms of traffic. There are quite a lot of areas you can pull off of. It was just drivers forgetting to basically get out of the way or refusing to do so. So I don't think we'll have it as badly in this session. Of course, we've got a lot more of our normal runners in this session. The main drivers will not be so, I think, relaxed as they were in the first session. A lot of those regular drivers were maybe a little bit relaxed in the first session, knowing there's a lot of rookies around and didn't have to push as hard to try and show
relaxed,
their
but at the same
stuff.
time, you have to be careful because they're rookie drivers. They might make mistakes around you, and you just have to be a little bit more aware of all of those, pretty much all over on track. But the session is going to be very interesting with all all Formula One drivers back in their seats. It's going to be a very exciting session, and there's going to be a lot of running, as I've been alluding to.
Yeah, exactly that. So, guys, let us know in the comments, who do you think is going to top FP2? We're going to put up the poll right now. Who do you think will top FP2? George Russell did particularly well in FP1. Will it do as well in FP2?
It's not just the Mercedes car; it's all of the Mercedes-powered cars seem to have taken a small step forward in terms of their pace, and are really quite fast at this circuit. I think mostly because of the altitude isn't playing a factor anymore, like we've had in Brazil and Mexico.
Yeah, so altitude is not a big thing for the Mercedes engines, so they should be performing a little bit better. The Red Bulls were, as I say, slow in the first session, but I think they'll be a lot quicker with Max Verstappen in it. So we have that poll up there. Go and participate in it. Go and let us know, who do you think is going to be the quickest driver out on track. And, of course, whilst you're there, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So we are going to be in this studio for this session. We're going to have it over here, and you'll see everything quite plainly simple over there. At least we've got the normal names back, which is great to see. And we're seeing Franz Tost getting in an interview, of course. AlphaTauri were very impressive in FP1. And I'm hoping they take that same form into FP2. Franz Tost, of course, is also his last race weekend in Formula One.
Yes, as you say, it's his last race weekend in Formula One. We hope he has a great final race weekend with his team, but he is now going away. I don't know what he is doing with his future, but possibly retiring, yes. But he has really brought so many talents into Formula One over the years. He's brought in Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo. I want to say maybe Sebastian Vettel as well. He's brought in some really, really talented drivers through his team.
Yeah, so now obviously seeing all of those drivers still out on track, quite a few of them that he brought into Formula One. So keen to see how they all do. As I say, Max Verstappen, one of those main names that he's produced or brought into the sport, at least. I think he would have got there anyway. But
Marco was the main catalyst in Verstappen getting into Toro Rosso. But they looked after him, at least.
Yes.
He stays there.
Exactly that. So we expect Max Verstappen to be very, very good this race weekend as well. He's won the Constructors' Championship ages ago, but there were still some more points and positions up for grabs, especially in the Constructors' Championship. We've got fights happening between AlphaTauri and Williams.
Grandstands are completely empty.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's a bit of a bizarre one. We've got McLaren and Aston Martin fighting out, and we've got Mercedes and Ferrari fighting it out. So we've got lots of money basically up for grabs in terms of how much money they have for development for next season in 2024. So quite crucial that teams do well in this race weekend.
It is very, very crucial, as you say. It can make a massive difference with developing your car for the next season, especially in this cost cap era. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very punchy weekend, I think. And it's going to be very exciting for us on comms.
Yeah, so also be sure to go and check out our channel partners, BITDEFENDER and BOYLESPORTS. BITDEFENDER, your global leader in cybersecurity, and BOYLESPORTS, our betting partner, who are running a Black Friday special as well. So is BITDEFENDER. So go and check out those specials. Black Friday special for BOYLESPORTS. You can see it there. They'll do a 250% deposit match.
That's amazing.
So be sure to go and check that out. That is quite a deal. And that's on registration, of course. So go and use our link to register for BOYLESPORTS and take part in it. BITDEFENDER, of course, an all-inclusive protection specifically built for smaller businesses. You can go and check that out.
One of their packages that they offer, the Gravity Zone Small Business Security. Just looking here, ramping up to the session, the set is starting to sun. The sun is starting to set behind the track here. It's going to get a little bit cooler, but it is in Saudi. It doesn't get that cool in the evening.
No, it doesn't get that cool. You know, we are in the desert, and those deserts generally lose a lot of temperature when it comes to the evenings because we are right next to the ocean. It's quite well regulated, so the heat and the humid does remain generally around, as we see Ocon, of course, who did not take part in the first session, getting his helmet on and getting prepared for his now first session of this Grand Prix weekend. And, you know, it's the second free practice sessions of the season, and we still assume that it's going to be following a similar pattern that we've seen throughout the rest of the season, where this becomes more of a quali type practice session right towards the end of it, but a lot of race simulations in this one.
Yes, a lot of race simulations, as you say, are going to be in the session. I think near the end we'll get a few quali sims, but drivers will still be holding back a bit. We'll get our true quali sims tomorrow during FP3, but I think people are still really tired today.
Yeah.
They've just come from Las Vegas. It's a massive time change. It's 12 hours time difference between the two tracks. So the drivers are really struggling at the moment. Max Verstappen said in an interview that they need to have a look at this for the future because they're really, really struggling.
Yeah, but it's jet lag, don't get me wrong, but they have had a week to adjust, so they should be relatively okay by now. And it's not like they don't have the greatest comforts afforded in humankind to try and get them as ready for the weekend as possible. Don't get me wrong, it's a very busy season, and they do work very, very hard. However, it is, there's a lot of industries that deal with sort of similar sort of things, and they don't complain as much, I think. I agree that Las Vegas should be at a different point in the season, not necessarily because of the time zone difference, but more because of the temperatures that we had in the last weekend. So that's a scenario I can understand wanting a change, but in the scenario of time differences, get over it, you'll be fine. The whole point is with Formula One, you travel all over the world. You've got to get into your own set space for timing and jet lag. So we have the titles running, we have everything ready and waiting for practice 2, which gets going in just under 4 minutes time.
Yes, getting very, very close to getting underway for this pre-practice 2 session. We're getting the visuals now over this Yas Marina Circuit for round 23 of the 2023 Formula One season. Of course, it's round 23, but we've only actually had 22 rounds because they're cancelled. Moto Grand Prix, very, very sad. Was meant to be my first Formula One race ever watching, but now we're getting some stats about the circuit out here in Abu Dhabi.
Yes. So it's the last race in the Middle East. Of course, we start and end in the Middle East. Yeah, the track distance is 5.2 kilometers. Full throttle speed 64.2%. And the track lap record is a 122.109. The top speed is 334 kilometers an hour or 207 miles. There are 16 turns and only an elevation of 10.23 meters.
You can see it there behind them.
Yeah, no, there's a light on the way, so just trying to get there. The compound tires, of course, are the softest compounds available. The C5, the C4, and the C3. C5 being the soft, C3s being the hard. We do have wet weather tires available. If they are, we will not.
I highly doubt it. I think we've had wet weather once around here, but it's very unlikely. It is going to be very hot here. And I think on Sunday, the most favorable tire is going to be the mediums. Looking at the temperature at the moment, 27 degrees air temperature, 34 degrees track temperature with a 56% humidity around here. The wind has dropped from first practice session. It was sitting around 8 kilometers an hour in the first bit, then ramped up to about 12 kilometers an hour. It's now 3.6 now, so the drivers won't have to worry about wind gusts.
No, and the temperature is quite ideal for a lot of Formula One cars. The ideal track temperature often is around about 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. So that's where the tires can get relatively hot, but not too hot to degrade too quickly as well. So it's pretty much almost near perfect conditions here in Abu Dhabi. Of course, the sun is setting, and it's going to be a bit of an awkward one. Is the one thing that these night circuits often have a small challenge. Is a lot of them sometimes have the practice starting as the sun is setting, and you have the sun in your eyes quite badly. And I reckon you'll have drivers complain about it today as well.
They'll complain as per usual, but that's why they have special visors that are able to block out the sun and deal with the light of the track as well. And we see flamingos flying in the distance around Abu Dhabi. I didn't know we got flamingos in Abu Dhabi. Very interesting.
Well, it's very beautiful to see all the wildlife here in the Middle East, which again is also something you think about. Indeed. And then we go back to the
multi-billion-dollar Formula One track.
Yeah. So we're here. We're already the track is looking very, very good. So the grandstands are relatively empty. Yeah?
I think they're filling up now as we get closer to the start of the session. It does seem to be getting
Food queue is a bit too long. I think that's
maybe that's why.
They're all getting their drinks and it's taking far too long. There's far too few vendors. They need to get more of them out there. The Abu Dhabi circuit, interesting in the fact that it does have 2 different start-finish straights.
There's that new podium.
Yes,
that's been built. Very, very impressive. But yes, carry on. Sorry.
No. I was just saying. Of course, it's got 2 start-finish straights. We played the game, of course, earlier this week. A couple of people getting confused as to which pit lane was which, and going into the wrong one. No, I don't think anybody's
going to say because there's a wall.
Yeah,
so going to go to the pit lane.
Charles Leclerc sporting his white helmet for this weekend here in Abu Dhabi.
Was released after I made my helmet.
Yes, indeed. So Max Verstappen also has his championship-winning helmet on. He is, of course, going to be crowned the constructors' champion again at the end of this weekend. Small ceremony once more. A cap off and top off the season. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, those points.
I think over double the points of anyone else.
Yeah, he is. 549 points compared to Sergio Perez's 273. Hamilton, 232. Very interesting is the battle for 4th. Sainz and Alonso, both on 200 points. Lando Norris right behind them on 198, 95, and Leclerc on 188. If Leclerc wins this weekend, he can go and take it and get into 4th position. So, very interesting to see that Lewis Hamilton is pretty much confirmed third.
But looking at the constructors, Red Bull currently have 822 points. I'm just going to go back there because that's just the page. Let's try to find that. There it is. So looking at the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have 822 points. Mercedes have 392. This is where the battle is, though, between Mercedes and Ferrari with 388 points. McLaren, though, are fighting with Aston Martin for fourth place with 284 points for McLaren, 273 points for Aston Martin. Then Renault, Alpine are in sixth with 120. Williams are fighting with AlphaTauri. I did say they were.
Yeah.
It's 7 points between those two. Then it's Alfa Romeo in ninth with 16 and Haas in 10th with 12 points. So very close between a couple of teams here for this race weekend.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think the all eyes are mainly on the Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren, Aston Martin battle, as we do have the start of FP2 here and all our drivers leading out onto the track.
Mark's favorite pit lane of the season. He really loves this pit lane in the Formula 1 game.
Tell you what, it was really, really good trying to get around there, and I struggled so much. And I basically came to a standing stop every single time. So one of our drivers making their way out there all the normal names. So the D-Ways in the comments saying hello, everybody, and be sure to let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from and give us a hello as we do now have the session started. And we can bring you all that action here live, of course, on Forever Sports. And be sure to go check out our other channel, Motorsports, as well. As we have a little bit of jostling for position already there. The Red Bull and Alpine drivers get very close to each other. It's Ocon and I believe Perez. Yes, indeed. So a little bit close there. Ocon taking a little bit of section as well, following him quite closely.
I thought maybe it was Verstappen. That's why they were fighting. They don't get it.
No, not at all. Lots of cars out on track. We're already almost 2 minutes in. And Sergio Perez, quite a big weekend for him. At least he has secured second place in the Drivers' Championship. But he still needs to do well, I feel, to back staying in that seat, because it really has still been
I think if the other teams are a lot more competitive than then I think there could be some issues. But then he might not be so close to Verstappen. Verstappen has another rival.
Yeah, indeed. And the fact that Verstappen had to be asked to drop and help Perez last race weekend, and Perez still couldn't hold on to second place, just shows there's a real lack of there's a big gap between the two drivers, I think, in terms of their performance right now. The car is geared towards Max Verstappen, but it shouldn't be as big a gap as it is right now to Perez behind him. So, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Albon, they'll be starting our first hot laps here around the track. Let's see what sort of lap time they're putting. Very keen to see the times in this session compared to first. We didn't see any 125s. We got very, very close to it. Russell being the quickest driver by a country mile. I think we will get into the 125s fairly early on.
Hulkenberg is one of the first to start his laps on the set of medium. Very interesting to see that. Yeah, we'll have to keep watching these times around last one.
Yeah, so Max Verstappen here starting a hot lap, his first of the weekend, and he's on a set of medium tires. Let's see how he fares into the first sector. 17.7. We saw that not too far away from that in the first session as well with George Russell. So I imagine
this is Max's first flying lap out on circuit. So we're going to try and compare between the first and second session. We'll try and pull up some of those lap times. But I'm sure Verstappen should be able to do relatively well in his Red Bull Championship winning car.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't bring a special livery for this race weekend after such a dominant season. Yeah, just going to look at all of the times going on at the moment. Down the board, where is Max Verstappen? He's put in a purple middle sector, so very good for himself there, as Alex Albon is also finishing up a lap time now, putting himself at the top of the timing boards. Just waiting for Verstappen's lap time to he comes through the middle sector, or comes through the final sector now, that is, rather, through turn 13 and 14. With the sun setting in the background, that is going to be getting in his eyes a little bit, but he's looking very, very confident out on circuit. Does he have a little bit of a moment like the rest of the drivers had through that final sector? No, very, very neat and tidy. He finishes up his lap with 126.453. So very close to what George Russell was putting in that third practice.
Yeah, indeed. And George Russell put in a medium tire lap around that sort of time as well. So immediately straight off the bat, Verstappen's pretty much matching the pace with Mercedes on his first lap. So as expected, and we're seeing a lot of 127s being put in already, and the 126s have only been hit by Verstappen and Albon right now. Albon and that Williams do all right. Hamilton now finishing up his first lap. Stroll moves into second at 126.77 now. And Hamilton now also, let's follow and see what he will finish his first line lap. Magnussen now goes faster. Magnussen goes faster than Verstappen, 126.4130.
Lower fuel.
And Hamilton crossed the line. He messed up his final sector a little bit.
Have a good final sector, but 0.9 off. That's quite far. As Lando Norris moves himself only up into 9th position. Max Verstappen, though, not bad for his first run. 0.04 for Magnussen, who already had some running in that first practice session. Russell, though, the driver that we've all been waiting for to get back out on the circuit to put in a comparable time to Verstappen, is coming through now. He was very fast in that final sector. Tsunoda now puts himself into 3rd as Russell goes fastest overall with a 125.9, the first 125 of the day.
Yeah, indeed, and he's still on the medium tyres, so great to see. As Piastri also moves into 4th, 126 point, I think it was 5 or just 4, something like that. So very good for him as well. But again, the Mercedes clearly looking quite good this weekend here. And Russell, certainly of those Mercedes drivers, doing the best. As Ricciardo moves into 2nd now, 126.3 for him on a set of medium. Sargent shares on a set of soft.
I think this track is evolving quite quickly at the moment.
Well, I mean, it will, obviously, as we go throughout the rest of the session. Sargent on a set of softs. Let's see what sort of times we'll see for the softs immediately. Of course, it is Logan Sargent. But Williams got enough pace. He's very close to Russell's time right now. Again, we see how much time drivers lose in the final sector. I think we want to have the same scenario again.
Yes, Logan Sargent was quite fast in that first session. I think he might be able to get into Q3 again this weekend with Alex Albon, which could be quite exciting for the Williams team to really take the fight to the AlphaTauris this weekend.
Yeah, so Sargent now coming across the final couple of corners here. Let's see what sort of time he puts in as a Red Bull dives into the pits there. I think it might be Max Verstappen, actually. Sargent crosses the line at 126.659, not the best on the set softs. So I think he's on high fuel, though, maybe.
Sergio Perez diving into the pits.
Oh, Sergio Perez, okay, right.
Logan Sargent now backing off his lap and next through some of the other drivers. Now watching in the visor, I think this is Charlotte Leclerc. It's Ferrari at the moment. It's Charlotte Leclerc, was right. He's done a good first and second sector, not being able to take away any purple sectors, though. But we'll have to wait and see what he's able to do now as he comes around the final 2 corners.
So he crosses the line now, and it's a 126.5.
5.9. 26.5, sorry.
Yeah.
25.9 is that time from Russell.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there with regards to the rest of this session. And lots of people walking also on top of the Ferrari World, of course, which is right there with the circuit. A very famous part of the circuit as well. So we'll see, obviously, Ferrari right there. Let's see how Ferrari do as we're looking at Carlos Sainz himself. Go around. I think he just catches a little bit too much of the curve there. Yeah, he just lost a little bit. You can see a slight correction, goes too wide and catches the bottom of his car on that curve. Quite a lot of sparks being thrown up and a bit of carbon fiber being kicked up onto the track as well. Not ideal.
No, not ideal at all for Sainz's Ferrari. That floor is going to take a little bit of damage there. But just seeing who else is out. So Sargent put his time on the set of starts. Bottas on the set of hards up in 8th. That's very impressive for Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, indeed. And the set of hards is really, really good up there in 8th position. Tsunoda's on 7th right now, but Danny Rick still holding very well, actually, in 2nd as well. He did quite well in the first practice session and started the second session quite well as well. As Lance Stroll now, who's the 126.410. Albon starts a hot lap on a set of mediums. Oh my word, we're going to have a red flag. There's a Ferrari in the wall. There's a Ferrari in the wall.
What has he done?
All right, red flag. Red flag in the session. Carlos Sainz is in the wall. Oh my word, we're literally just talking about Ferrari and seeing what they could do this weekend, and we're talking about Ferrari World and everything being there. It's all a Ferrari-driven track, and Carlos Sainz has ended up in the wall. Maybe you've got too distracted from the big Ferrari World, which is right next door. Maybe looked at it, admired it, and found himself in the wall. Frederick Vasseur not very happy about this at all. He has gone into the wall in about sector 3, and
I'm wondering if there's an electrical issue because that light is flashing on his car.
I'm not sure if it's electrical. I think he's just lost. I think he's come around the corner here, probably spun, probably lost a little bit left, and then tried to correct it right, and then got into the wall. Let's see now. We're watching a replay. We finally get to see, and indeed, it's exactly. It's where I thought it was. And it's the same sort of.
Let's go halfway through the corner. Just watch here. So he comes through turn 2, hits the curve a little bit hard. It just lets go.
Yeah, no, something's wrong with the car there.
There's some failure on that car. It's definitely a failure.
Yeah, I've crashed, guys. Dirty air from the car gave me a massive snap. The dirty air and the bump, I think.
It's really weird how it just.
It was going straight. It wasn't even turning. The steering wheel was going straight, and then suddenly Kunk loses it completely. And yeah, lots of tire smoke gone up into the air, and then all the crowd get to see the
going
Ferrari.
to be another
Oh, my
new
word.
engine or gearbox for Sainz's Ferrari.
That's a big shunt there into the wall. And Carlos Sainz versus, of course, the first red flag of this weekend. Luckily, he's fine.
I was going to say, glad to see he's okay, and that's the car already chatting with the medical delegate that has come and lifted him with the Aston Martin. I'm trying to remember the name of that car, but it's massive. It's an Aston Martin SUV that has been taken away.
Yeah, so I think this. I mean, look at the beautiful artwork that he's laid on the track, though. I mean, it does look quite pretty.
Left some skids.
I mean, I think that's going to become a meme as well. As we're looking at Carlos Sainz Senior, two-time world rally champion, of course. He
does skids, but a little bit better than that.
Yes,
on the road. He's looking very spacey there. Maybe a little bit of concern for his son having that crash. Robert Schwartzman, the FP1 driver, who sat in, I think that, no, not that seat, he sat in the Leclerc seat. He didn't even manage to do that. Yeah.
Look, I don't think that's necessarily a huge thing for Carlos Sainz's fault, but yeah, spun out by the dirty air or something else that happened. That's the first red flag of the session. It's not good to see, unfortunately. Of course, this is practice, though, so the time does still continue to count down. So as the session keeps going, we'll have to wait for the red flags to be clear. They still need to check the barriers. They'll need to remove the car as well. There's quite a lot of work they have to do before we get back in. I imagine we'll get going with about 40 minutes left. I think it will take another 8 or so minutes to get that whole thing cleared, because they still have the car there. There's no recovery vehicle on site, and they're going to have to repair the damage there to that barrier. So all the stewards are there, well, the marshals, and they'll be moving that car very shortly, I'm sure. And he's parked it. He's managed to park his car quite close to a big crowd that's gathered on the hill there to have a look.
I'm sure they will be there to have a look, because it's not often that you get to see a crumpled up Formula One car. Not necessarily what you want to see, because I think everyone would prefer to get some on-track action, but at least we should get some on-track action in a little bit, because there's a tractor recovering that car already. So just looking at George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo as well, they've kept that zebra livery for this weekend. It's very, very cool on that AlphaTauri car, but just waiting to see what's happening with this red flag. I'm hoping it's going to be quite quick.
Yeah, so I think, the AlphaTauri.
No, I'm talking about the red flag. I said hopefully they'll be able to.
Oh, they get the red flag quite quick.
Sorry,
I think we were just in the AlphaTauri garage, of course, but their livery that we had last weekend, the zebra livery that was there. Is it still this weekend? They're still holding on to it for this weekend, so good to see that. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, a little bit of a battle between the two of them, I suppose, for which driver is going to be quickest out of the two this weekend, because Yuki Tsunoda has been outperformed a couple of times now from his teammates this season, where he really shouldn't be. Danny Rick doing very well right now. Do you reckon Danny Rick will outperform his teammate this weekend again?
I outperform Danny Rick. Yuki Tsunoda. I think Danny Rick quite enjoys the circuit, so I'm hoping he has a good weekend, because I've been sporting Daniel Rick after his McLaren days, where he was really seeming to struggle there, and I think he was also struggling a lot with his mental health. And it's nice to see a comeback story always in Formula One. So it would be nice to see Daniel Ricciardo returning to his winning ways, and if it could be at the circuit, they're already seeming to be quite quick with him in second.
Yeah,
I'd really enjoy it.
He's doing quite well up there in that AlphaTauri. So the red flag, of course, has put a dampener on the session in terms of seeing pace from a lot of drivers. Doesn't suit
that
a lot
floor
of.
is
Yeah, I was about to say
damaged.
that floor is quite badly damaged.
This car, that is a lot of work ahead of the
Yes. Yeah, I know. I mean, as James says in the comments, this is a big crash for such a small instant. I mean, it was high speed, though, to be fair. That's probably why, but I think also the way he hit the barriers never helped, because he hit it directly side on. It wasn't like some part of the car took direct force. Both the entire one side of the car took the same amount of force. It wasn't able to obviously dissipate as the car went into the wall. So lots of damage to the car on the left side, because it pretty much collided all at the same time. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of work for the Ferrari engineers. They're going to hate Carlos Sainz right now, because it means they're staying up very late.
Watch, we've got to. He did just lose it seemingly there on the apex. Just bounced a little.
almost-
I think
yeah.
they're running their car a little bit too low.
I mean, as you can suddenly see, as he loses it, there's a tiny spark at the back of the car. And
On
I
the
think,
front of the floor.
yeah, as
you
I
can
say,
see it as well.
and the floor just makes contact ever so slightly. And as a result, that disgruntles the car and then spins out quite badly. He has left a beautiful little bunch of infinity signs basically all over the track. Basically just warning all the drivers, this is what can happen. And Carlos Sainz, unfortunately, going to have to wait until tomorrow to get going again. And these engineers are going to have to work all night, basically, to get their car fixed.
Yes, they might have to break curfew as we are seeing that bright red sun setting over Abu Dhabi and looking at it over the W Hotel. That's the Formula One cars drive underneath. And that will light up a little bit later when it gets a little bit darker. But just waiting for running to get resumed here. Still a red flag out on circuit as they're lowering down that car of Carlos Sainz's. It's red.
So my prediction was, I think I said at about 40 minutes left, we'll have a green flag again. I think it's holding firm for that. I think they're going to look at the barriers now as the car is more or less recovered. The floor literally is hanging off. It is very much hanging on there. So is the front, the left-hand side of the front wing. But yeah, looking at a good view of the floor, I suppose. The one side we can have a look at. The other side, not so much.
It's quite damaged, so I don't think it's a very good indicator of what the floor can do on that car. But now it is now being put down onto that recovery vehicle. I think it's a bit stuck there because of the floor, actually.
Yeah, I think they're trying to put it down, but the floor keeps getting in the way. So just watching that instant again, you can just see as he sparks up, turning onto the left.
Watch the front. There we go.
You see,
sparks. I think they've tried to see what they can do in terms of their floor wide height for this weekend and just set it a little bit too low.
As I said, the sparks are a good indicator. You can just see the front sparks first, and then it bounces ever so slightly up. It's quite an interesting analysis here. Reece will give us a more in-depth one, but just looking at it, the sparks at the front first. So the floor hits the road ever so slightly as it comes down the left, and then it drags through to the rest of the track, rest of the car rather, and then he spins it out as a result.
It's pretty much exactly what I'm saying. They're running the floor pretty low. They're trying to see how low they can run it for this race weekend. The lower you have your car, the faster you can be down the straights. So, unfortunately, in this sector where there's pretty much the only elevation of this entire circuit, they've bottomed out. And with the combination of bottoming out, a little bit of reduced aerodynamics from the car ahead of you, they've been caught out here.
Yeah, so now, unfortunately, they're also going to lose quite a lot of data that they would have wanted from both Ferraris in this session, so they could have got it sorted for FP3 to get going for qualifying, but now they're going to have to rely on Charles Leclerc. And Charles Leclerc will be a little bit nervous, of course, because the ride height for Carlos Sainz was very low. He will have had the same ride height, I imagine, or some there and thereabouts. So they'll probably have to try and adjust that right now to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Look at Max Verstappen. He has more wins since the start of this season, since the start of last season, than Alonso in 20 seasons racing in Formula One.
That's an incredible statistic there. Just looking at that helmet, I love this championship-winning helmet for Max Verstappen. It is just so striking and so...
Gold.
I mean, yes, I like it with the red lining as well. It's very, very cool.
Indeed, and he looks a little bit bored in the car right now. I think he's a bit upset because, he's been waiting all day to get into the car because, of course, he didn't participate in FP1. Waited for FP2, got going for just a little bit, and then there's a red flag caused by Carlos Sainz. And watching a replay here of Ocon, I think he sees the remnants of Sainz's crash. So, yeah, he's on the radio there. I think he just pretty much says, is he okay? That was a big shot.
Yes, is he okay? And gets told that he is all right.
Yeah, lots of smoke there put up by the car there. You can just see all that tire smoke from that crash. Quite incredible how much the tires do smoke up in those sort of scenarios. And
Gasly asks the same, also asks if he's okay and says it looks really bad. Asks who it was, if it was Charles or Carlos. Yeah, very interesting. Glad to see he is all right.
I'll say it was quite a big crash for seemingly not that big, as James says. I mean, another driver saying, oh, yeah, what's happened there? It's Ricardo this time saying, is he all right? As he looks at that.
The same thing again. Everyone very concerned for Carlos Sainz. It did look like a high-speed impact. But, yeah, pretty much saying also that they saw it bottoming out, and that's the reason for it. Yeah. Just looking at some of our channel partners here, Bitdefender is offering you 60% off of their all-inclusive protection tailor-made for small businesses package. So do be sure to go and check that out if you are in the market for it is a VP, No, it's
Well,
not VPN, it's
cybersecurity as well as they
yes.
do VP. They
Yes.
do a VPN as well. They do a whole lot of things. Well, VPN protection at least in terms of making sure it's all fine. So they do partner up with a few other things. So be sure to go and check that out, of course, in the description. So my prediction is going to be ever so slightly wrong with regards to when we get going with the session again. I said around 40 minutes time we will have remaining. They still have the car on that recovery vehicle, which is right by the barriers. The barriers still are quite damaged. They're going to need to fix those up a little bit. So I reckon another 3 to 4 minutes at least before we'll get that green flag. So we'll only have around 35-ish minutes remaining in the session before we get going again. Carlos Sainz has now managed to make his way back to the pit lane and is inside the pits. He's probably going to have a look at some of the data there to just see what caused that crash.
Pointed out to where he had that incident, unfortunately. Very disappointing. He will not get running anymore in this session. There's going to be a lot of work being done on his car. And it's ticking towards that 40-minute mark.
Yeah, that's what I say. So we're not going to get going just anytime soon. We're still going to wait for that barrier to get repaired. So let us know in the comments, guys. Does this affect Ferrari's weekend massively? Is this another car?
He's going to take another drop, I think, on the grid because of the...
Which in the battle for second place in the Constructors' Championship is going to make a huge difference because, of course, Mercedes right now looking very, very good. Russell up there in first and was first in the FP1 session. And now the Ferraris weren't doing particularly well. And we're now going to see the same sort of thing happen again because Sainz is now going to have to probably take a bit of a penalty in the race itself because I imagine they're going to change parts that you can't change anymore. Right at the end of the season, it's the problem with crashing right near the end of the season. Most of your parts have been taken. So that's going to be the problem. They're looking at those barriers. They certainly do need to be repaired a little bit more. They've got replacement barriers there. They're going to be fitting them up and getting them ready to get going.
This could take some time still, maybe another 5 to 10 minutes.
I don't imagine 10 minutes, but I reckon certainly at least another 3 to 5 at a minimum.
Yes.
So looking at the grass banks there of Abu Dhabi, it is quite well maintained, beautiful there. A lot of people picnicking out. And it actually must be quite a nice sort of thing you can go do whilst the Formula 1 is around you and whilst you're in the red flag. Just pop down your picnic blanket, get some food out, snack a bit, and then go back there and look at the wrecked Ferrari and then keep going. Looking at Joe Guanyu's car. No. Yuki Tsunoda, sorry. Sorry, I just couldn't see who it was quite there.
Well,
I saw red.
France.
I saw red everything there. But yes, I didn't read that part there. But Yuki Tsunoda's helmet for this weekend has got a little dedication and tribute to Franz Tost, of course, team principal for AlphaTauri. Just got a picture of Yuki Tsunoda and him hugging. And so, yeah, very, very nice touch there from Yuki Tsunoda. I do still love Yuki Tsunoda's helmet. I do love the floral aspect to it, which is very, very cool. But yeah, I mean, looking at Andrew's comment here for the second week in a row, 9 minutes into a practice, we get a red flag because of Sainz. Strange deja vu. It's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that.
What's that? Sorry.
Carlos Sainz has caused another red flag 2 weekends in a row.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of that as you said. I mean, yeah, very, very interesting to think that he has caused a red flag 2 weeks in a row. The first one wasn't really his fault. But
no.
Yeah. This weekend is a little bit more Ferrari's fault, deciding to run the car quite low and has caused him to bottom out and spin.
So now the interesting thing here is, of course, we're looking at the car development once again for 2023 in terms of how much gain or loss we've had throughout the season. Ferrari and Aston Martin, the only two constructors losing time throughout the season, they've added, the only ones who have added time was Aston Martin. They've added 0.37 seconds in terms of an average time during the lap, rather. The average sort of lap times that they should be putting in terms of gains. The most gains have been put on, of course, by McLaren. Almost a whole second has been gained in McLaren compared to Red Bull's fastest times each weekend. So, I mean, it's quite interesting to see how McLaren's development has been very, very good throughout the season. Aston Martin's literally the opposite. We've seen some very good development as well from AlphaTauri as well as Alfa Romeo. So good to see them heading in the right direction. Now, if this sort of trend continues next season, McLaren looks like they're going to be a very competitive car.
I would really like to see McLaren being challenging for the top of the timing boards. I think that would be really exciting. I think Lewis Hamilton's running off maybe to the bathroom or something there. He's not really that interested in sitting around in the car for too long as he runs into the back of the garage. Just also looking at some news that we've heard in between the two sessions today. From the Formula 1 Commission meeting that happened, the sprint race activities are set to be further split from a Grand Prix, which is very exciting. Hopefully they are going to do a bit more of a reverse grid split or spice things up a little bit. And Lando Norris is... Oh, I've missed out the stat.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so there's a stat just also that we want to talk about this. Lando Norris can become the first McLaren driver to finish in the top 4 of the Drivers' Championship since Hamilton in 2012.
Wow.
2012. So
Very long time ago.
about 11 years ago did Hamilton finish in the top 4 for McLaren, and Lando Norris has the opportunity to do so this weekend. He's got quite a lot to try and do to get there.
Finishing up with this Formula One Commission meeting headlines, tyre blankets are set to be scrapped from 2025. I don't know if they're going to scrap that outright, but I was kind of hoping they would bring in that tyre blanket ban or tyre blankets.
That's what it is. It's the ban that they want to put on tyre blankets. That's been scrapped. They will no longer.
They're going to keep tyre blankets. Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
And then the scoop for drivers cooling is set to be permitted in the regulations. So for really hot races, they can put a scoop somewhere in the bodywork of the car to allow the driver to get cooled down a bit. But I can just imagine this is going to get exploited like it was in the past. And then wet weather wheel covers are set to be tested in spring of 2024, which is also very, very exciting.
Well, I don't know what the wet weather...
To reduce the spray off the wheels.
Yes. Then we're all good for it. Carlos Sainz, of course, watching that replay once again. He's caused this red flag, and we've got to talk about a whole lot of other things other than the session. Watching one more time that replay there. He spins around literally 3 times before hitting the wall on the left-hand side. Quite a big impact. And, of course, caused from bottoming out on the turn. It's in the second turn of the track. Well, actually, technically in the third turn. When he comes into it, that's where he just suddenly loses it. And it's very unfortunate for him. He has made his way back to the pits. He's absolutely fine. And we will get going with the session very shortly when this barrier is now repaired. It pretty much was getting replaced as we left it. And I think it should be close to that. So we should have running an agreed flag very shortly for at least the last half an hour of the session.
Yes, as Carlos Sainz will watch on from the Ferrari garage, unfortunately for himself. But that's what happens when you put your car in the wall. Of course, no real fault of his own because the car was set up very low. But it happens in Formula One. We're watching on with Fernando Alonso, who's now tied with Alain Prost for 4th on the all-time list of podium finishes.
Sure. That's very, very impressive from Fernando Alonso. Lots of times came second and third. Unfortunately, wasn't able to win most of those races. Very unfortunate for him. As we did see that stat earlier from Max Verstappen, he's won more races in his last 2 seasons than Aston Martin.
Then Fernando Alonso has done his
entire career, basically.
Yeah.
So that just it's quite scary. That just shows how dominant the Red Bull has been. Shows how dominant Max Verstappen has been. As Lewis Hamilton's trying to get cooled down there from one of these air pipes straight into his helmet, just trying to cool down before he gets going. He's back in his car, which shows that we are quite close to the start of the restart of the session, I suppose.
I certainly hope so. They haven't given us a 10-minute warning as of yet, but yeah, I'm hoping that they will.
So we'll continue, of course, waiting for that green flag to be given. We've got about half an hour remaining in the session already. The lights are going down, and the sun is rather going down, and the lights in the stadium are starting to turn on so we can light up the track. As we can just see some of the FIA stewards and marshals just trying to take the cameras away from the Ferrari. They're not happy with their coverage at all, just forcing it away from the Ferrari. They don't want them close and got very angry with it. So very interesting there to just see a little bit of aggressive tailing there. Try not to look at the Ferrari too much right up close. So little altercation is all sorted now, I think. And yeah, now they're just being told to please go away from the area as they want to try and get the Ferrari back to the pits for themselves to go and get ready again. So that is the end of that. As we're seeing the roller coaster there at Ferrari World being used quite extensively. One of the fastest roller coasters in the world in dedication to one of the fastest car brands as well. And still waiting for that green flag. The wall has not been fixed quite just yet. Russell is doing very well up there first. Ricciardo is still having a very, very good session. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of Ricciardo so far in this session? Reece has just gone to go and get some water. He will be back very, very shortly. So just looking at some footage here of the Ferrari. Lots of broken pieces to that car, and I think they're going to struggle to fix that very quickly. And engineers are not going to be happy about it at all. Gets lifted up so they can put some blankets over it so they can stop people looking at the car as they do finally remove the floor from the underneath point, which was hanging from the car. And our Ferrari engineers have got a big sheet ready to put over the car before so that nobody can have a look at it. So it's a bit late for that. Unfortunately, the camera has had a very good look at it. Race control has finally given us a session resumption. It will get going in about 6 minutes' time at 17:35 local time. That will be 15:35 South African time. British Standard Time will be 13:35. So 25 to 2 British Standard Time, 25 to 4 South African Standard Time, and local track time at 5:35 or /25 to 6. So we finally do have the resumption time. So we will have about only 25 minutes remaining of the session when we do get going again, which is not ideal for a lot of these drivers. Only 25 minutes to get their simulations in. I think we'll see a lot more race simulations, so don't worry too much about the times, basically, because I think they'll reserve most of those qualifying simulations for tomorrow's FP3 session, which, again, you can catch here live on Forever Sports. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video so that you guys can be notified when that goes up. So, Lewis Hamilton, some interesting facts about him. His favorite food is Indian. His guilty pleasure is chocolate. And a fun fact is that he loves ironing, which makes no sense whatsoever as to why that is something that he loves doing. But he loves ironing. Interesting that he even irons his own stuff. I would have thought he might have somebody to do that for him. So, that's Lewis Hamilton. A little bit of fun facts for him. Looking at the grid, Magnussen up there in fourth as well. Stroll in third. Quite good for them, seeing that they're quite high up. In comparison to the rest of the grid. The Ferraris were not going all that well until that point, and Charles Leclerc still down there in seventh. Still needs to find a little bit of pace. Again, we still don't really know the pace of a lot of these cars because of that red flag. And, of course, it's a practice session. James just saying there, I think at one stage, Ricciardo could have taken Perez's seat next season, but a strong finish for Perez has taken that away, methinks. Well, I think that is probably exactly the case. I think Perez has at least solidified second place in the Drivers' Championship, which means that he should hold on to a seat for the foreseeable future, though it certainly came under a lot of pressure, and I'm sure they're realizing that, and I'm sure Perez realizes that, and I think next season he's going to have a lot of pressure on him from the get-go, and can he handle it?
Yes, as we see, we have a session resumption of 5:35 track time. Thank goodness, because it was taking some time. So they will get out on the track in the next 4 minutes. Oscar Piastri, just some interesting facts about him. Favorite food is pasta. Guilty pleasure is chocolate. And a fun fact is that he has never used a comb.
Well, it's very Australian of him, of course. So keeping in line with the Aussie method. I'm just joking, of course. So both his and Lewis Hamilton's guilty pleasures are apparently chocolate. So quite a lot of chocolate lovers on the grid. But tonight, my guilty pleasure is definitely chocolate as well. So, I mean, what can we expect from Oscar Piastri and the McLarens this race weekend? Lando Norris is up there. Or down, rather. He didn't manage to put in any... Where is Lando Norris? Oh, down in 19th. There he is. So the light is hiding him from me. So he was down in 19th before the session ended there. And I think he should be obviously a lot higher up near Piastri sort of area. I think McLaren should be quite quick this weekend. But do you think they can actually beat Aston Martin at the end of this race weekend in terms of the Constructors' Championship?
I'm hoping they should be able to. You're talking about McLaren and Aston Martin. I think McLaren, as much as it would be nice for Aston Martin to get up in the Drivers' Championship or Constructors' Championship, rather, McLaren, it's just such an amazing story for the season for them. They started all the way at the back of the grid. They had a terrible start. I mean, I remember the first race where Piastri had to have his steering wheel changed midway through that race. And now he's doing really well, and they have a very competitive car, and they are able to challenge the likes of Aston Martin, who at one stage, the second best team on the grid.
Yeah, Aston Martin's downfall throughout the season has really been one to also look at, which has been very, very unfortunate. Andrew just letting us know that his sister and his brother-in-law are in Abu Dhabi for the Grand Prix. They went on that roller coaster yesterday. Well, very, very jealous of them, as we do have all the drivers leaving their pit boxes now, getting ready to get going for the resumption of free practice too.
Yes, as we're watching a big traffic jam piling up here at the moment between all of these cars, getting ready to get back out onto circuit for the second, for the resumption of free practice too. There's a very expensive parking lot right now, as we're looking at Alex Albon in his car as well for this weekend. He's back in that car. I'm trying to see where he's currently sitting in terms of the times. Alex Albon, what is he? Albon, 15th. As we're watching that roller coaster go around there, that simulates the speeds that Formula One cars are able to experience throughout a race. It's very impressive there at Ferrari World. But just looking at the pit lane, waiting for this session to be resumed. It should be happening in the next 30 seconds or so. And then we should get the green light at the end of the pit lane. Yeah, about 30 seconds to go for that. Verstappen's on the radio, though. Let's hear what he has to say. Just asking about the Williams that is coming out of the garage, if he has to allow them to come in front of him, or if they're allowed to just push their way through, because they are trying to push their way through at the moment with Albon and Sargent. But they're pushing in. Max Verstappen doesn't like people jumping the queue, but he doesn't really have an option this weekend, as those two Williams drivers have now jumped the queue ahead of him. They both got ahead of it as, they don't look very happy. But the two Williams, Mark is joining back again. He doesn't really know what happened. But the two Williams have managed to jump ahead of Max Verstappen, who came onto the radio to ask about that and ask if it was allowed. But they don't really get an option because they have allowed it and they've jumped the queue a bit.
What, to get back out on the track?
Yes.
That's quite funny.
Because they're right at the end of the pit lane.
That's quite funny. So all the cars are back out there. We have a resumed free practice 2 and a lot of cars together forming some traffic jams as they go around their first out laps. 24 minutes left. What can we expect to see right before the end of the session?
I think it's mostly going to be some race sims a bit more now because they've lost all of that running where they wanted to do the race simulations. It's going to be real indicative now of the race on Sunday because it's getting a bit darker. It is quite dark out on circuit. It's not normally this dark. I would expect...
The lights are on.
But they're not as bright as we'd normally see. See, through here, it's very bright. But through the middle of that straight, it's quite dark.
I think sometimes it can also be off-putting with the cameras because they've still got the light of the sky still there. And sometimes the cameras can't quite adjust. And just watching a replay of that incident you talk about, oh, dear.
No, this is a different incident where Daniel Ricciardo is trying to barge in and Lewis Hamilton is having absolutely none of it.
That's quite funny. Lewis Hamilton said absolutely no way.
So here's Max where he gets a little bit upset because they push in front of him and the Alfa Romeo. Just watch this, yeah. Just slowly sneaks his way in and the Alfa Romeo ahead of him has no...
I wonder why he would even opt to try and say report that because, I mean, I don't think
it's allowed. That's why.
I don't think it's not allowed. They can just go do what they want. They're right at the end of the pit lane. It's the whole benefit of coming last in the season. It's Magnussen setting our first fast lap in the resumption. Yeah, yellow flag. Oh my word! A horse is in the wall. We're gonna have a red flag again.
That's a destroyed tire for Magnussen.
Oh my word!
Magnussen has completely destroyed his tire, and when coming out of the first turn, brilliant, Kevin Magnussen. Oh,
it's a red flag. It's a red flag.
It will be another red flag.
Oh my soul! Oh my word! And the Haas engineers are literally exactly the same as us. They're like, "You're joking? Did that just happen?" Oh my word! Not even a.
Günther Steiner is ready to fork smash Nico Hülkenberg right now.
I mean, I cannot believe that. Lost an excellent turn 1. Yeah, we can see that as well, mate. I mean, luckily the barriers with pairs are not going to be as big, so it won't be as long a red flag. But I think we'll only get going with about 12 to 13 minutes left in the session. Another red flag, this time from Nico Hülkenberg. I mean, shocking. Absolutely shocking, Nico Hülkenberg. What happened there?
It is a really difficult exit out of turn 1. I struggle in the Formula 1 game. And Nico Hülkenberg's struggling this weekend. He's trying to get out of his car now. Yeah, he's got a bit of a walk back to the pits.
Not really. It's quite close to it.
But he's on the inside.
True. Hülkenberg, yeah, let's see as he goes round turn 1. He just goes round that. He goes too far onto the curb. Smashes his back left or right tire into the wall. Like it's not too high an impact. We just see him lose it. And then, the back right tire goes into the wall. And as a result, there's a bit of debris there. But luckily, the wall will not be damaged at all. So we'll get going with the session relatively quickly. It just need to recover the car and then get back out. But yet another red flag. Thanks, Nico Hülkenberg. You ruined it for the rest of us.
That tire is completely destroyed, by the way. It's got big gouges taken out of it. No wonder why it's completely deflated. He's kind of just standing around there at the moment.
I think he's waiting for a car to take him back to the pits. I don't think he really wants to walk anywhere. To be fair, there's no real exit point for him to get out of the track. So I suppose he has to wait there.
That's the pit lane exit there on his left.
So he is sort of just having to wait for somebody to come and collect him because there's no real place for him to go. There's no marshals around there. Not a single marshal by the car at all.
No, that's going to be horrible now. He's nowhere near a marshal post. Oh, he is there. There's a marshal post. But there's no... I think there's a recovery vehicle, but it's going to take a while.
Well, he's just waiting there, just leaning against the walls. They're just
waiting patiently.
I think they'll have to wait for all the cars, of course, to get back into the pits. Once they have done that, they can then get onto track and recover the car. It is safety regulations and rules are in place. Nobody can miss that. Once everybody's gone into the pits, at least they don't even have to be inside their pit box. They just have to be into the pits.
Everyone's in the pits now.
Yeah, so everybody should be in the pits now. So we should now finally get... Well, there's one still... No, obviously it's Hulkenberg still in the pits. Yes, so everyone's in the pits. So we should now finally get those stewards onto track and the recovery vehicle will go and recover that car. We had not even, 2-3 minutes of running?
Yeah.
And then a red flag.
This is a cute little loader. It's very cute. It's a miniature crane.
Also, a miniature recovery vehicle. That's also white to match Haas. I think they did that deliberately. They thought, well, you know what? As a special little tribute to the Haas car here that's decided to cause a red flag, we'll get that little mini loader out. It's white as well. It all matches together. It's all very matchy, which is quite interesting. They'll get that car off the track very, very quickly, of course. Not too much damage there. This will be a very quick red flag, and then we'll have a resumption of the session. Problem is they have to give a warning in terms of when the session will resume. It doesn't have to be a 10-minute warning, but they do have to go and give a warning of at least, I think, 3-4 minutes before they can get back out there.
Just hearing, Nico Hulkenberg hasn't finished in the points since Melbourne this year.
Sure. Seriously?
Yes.
Wowza.
One in the points the entire season. On a comeback season for himself and Haas. There's apparently not been too great a talks with himself and the Haas team, so we don't really know what's going to happen for the future. Of course, he does have a contract for next season, as Gary Gannon has a look on as Hulkenberg's race engineer. He's got a bit of work to do with all the rest of the engineers this evening.
Luckily, it's not as bad as the Ferraris. Of course, the Ferraris have got a lot more work to do on Carlos Sainz's car than this of Nico Hulkenberg. But Hulkenberg's back right rear suspension and tyre will certainly be
able
broken.
to get Hulkenberg back out in the session if they get
That's far too close to the end of the session. They have to go back to the pit lane from here. They have to then go and fix the suspension and the tyre itself. There's far too much work to do before the end of the session. So I imagine we'll only see him in FP3. Old Man Vu saying, you guys who set out FP1 are very short on track time now. They should extend this session. Well, problem is that's the problem that you always have is that, of course, we'll talk about that right now. But is the fact that, of course, FP1 saw a lot of the rookie drivers in it. That's the constructors' choice to choose which sessions they want to put their drivers in. Just because their main drivers that sat out didn't get to participate in the session doesn't mean that we're going to extend the session for them to have some more practice around the track just because we have a couple of red flags in session 2. That's unfortunately the price you pay. We've had too much. I think there's been enough running in session 2 that they won't extend session 3.
No, I doubt it.
They won't extend it, yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think there'll be a normal FP3 session. There you go. Race controllers noted that we will resume at 17:44, so literally in 1 minute time. So as I told you, it wouldn't be that long. A red flag, luckily.
It didn't need barrier repairs, so that saved us a lot of time.
Yeah. So we'll have it running again very, very shortly. But again, we will not see an extended session, I do not believe, for FP3 tomorrow. And of course, at the end of this session, if they have not noted that we'll have an extended FP3 session, they won't extend FP3 either.
Back out the pits now. I don't think they gave them a lot of leeway notice for when they get resumed. But now they're all jumping to get to the end of the pit lane.
Yeah, indeed. And Max Verstappen is a little bit late to that party there. And you can see the two Mercedes ahead of him. He was I think you could see him rushing down the pits. They really wanted to try and get close. He's covered the inside line. It's quite interesting. I think this time is in preparation for somebody coming out late, like the Aston Martins here, who are coming out a little bit late.
As Sergio Perez closed the gap as well behind Max Verstappen. So they're not able to jump the queue. Very interesting to see.
The AlphaTauri, I think, is going to try and push in there, though. I think he's got his teammate out there, so luckily he can do that.
He has been able to. He's been able to, Mark.
Yeah.
He's jumped ahead of, I think, Valtteri Bottas.
That is quite funny. So we've got, I think that's Lando Norris right at the front.
Yes,
it's Lando Norris right at the front. And he starts as the green flag is now waved. The Williams follows him out. So does Oscar Piastri and the other Alfa Romeo. Now all of our cars making their way out into track. Of course, we've only got 18 left. We've lost the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, and we've now lost the Haas of Nico Hulkenberg.
Very, very interesting to have had that moment there into turn 1 for Nico Hulkenberg. Not very common, but unfortunate for himself as we're watching the first drivers now out on circuit.
Don't cause another red flag.
This is a Williams this time, so let's see what happens.
You've had 2 red flags in quick succession. Let's not have a third right at the end yet. Although I do think we probably will, because a lot of drivers now a little bit rushed to try and get some quick laps in to see the race pace. And I think we actually probably will have a few issues, because Hulkenberg wasn't involved in the first session. So maybe that's why he also had a bit of a problem, because he then had not as much practice. As Max Verstappen's getting very impatient behind the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. Gasly's not letting him by. Max Verstappen's desperately trying to get past him. He does eventually get past him. Very close to not staying within those white lines. Max Verstappen very impatient to get out there. He wants to get some more laps. And of course, he's not had a lot of running today either, because he had his session ruined this session. And the first session, he wasn't participating in it. So he wants to get out there as quickly as possible to get some stuff done. As all his race engineers have a little bit of a chuckle seeing Max Verstappen's antics. Become quite famous for. He's a very impatient person behind a lot of people. He likes to overtake people. Look at this. Oh my word. He overtook Russell.
He's overtaking people right out.
I'm not sure that was allowed. And Russell tried to come back at him.
You're allowed to do this.
Oh my word. Look at that. He's just...
I remember Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton doing this. It's 100% legal. So
Cameraman had to get out
of the way.
Oh my word. I wonder what James' comment for Verstappen versus George. Here we got George Russell on the radio, not very happy with it. Oh my word. Look how close he gets the wall.
This is hilarious.
I mean, I'm not so sure this is allowed. It's going to be interesting. I reckon they will probably have a look at that.
It's allowed. He's been doing it for a few
years. I mean,
it's
interesting. Well. James not very happy about it, saying, surely the FIA need to look at this, pushing through, getting the pit lane by Verstappen.
It's 100% allowed. I remember Sebastian Vettel doing this in China a couple of years ago. It's completely allowed. As long as it's within the white line, it's allowed.
But you see, the interesting thing is when Verstappen went ahead of George Russell the first time, he was actually outside the white lines.
No, he wasn't. Only on one of his tyres. You're allowed to as long as all 4 tyres.
But I don't think all 4 tyres were. That's what I'm saying.
No,
as he enters.
All 4 tyres are not out of the white lines. Then you'll get into trouble.
Well, Lando Norris, nonetheless, is going to put what is possibly a new fastest lap in, as he's got a first personal best sector, and sector 2 is a purple for him. What will he do in the final sector? He's got a little bit of traffic to have to try and put up with, but I think he's going quite well.
They get out the way for him, though, as well.
Yeah, so he's going along quite well. He goes around the final 2 turns now. I think it might just be quicker, although Piastri now sets the timing boards alight. And Norris crosses the line in a 125 point. There you go. Quickest lap of the day. Quickest lap of the weekend. A 125.625. Lando Norris and the McLaren showing the pace.
Yes, it is a very, very quick lap time from Lando Norris. There's Nico Hulkenberg. Has no other option but to watch from the sidelines for the session.
I think he's trying to maybe look at people's lines into turn 1, see what he did wrong. Albon moves into third instead of soft on the 126.081 as Piastri now crosses the line. He goes into first, a 125.361.
From Oscar Piastri.
It's a bit like a qualifying session as Bottas now goes faster, so 125.0.
That's very, very fast from Valtteri Bottas. They've had great pace this race weekend as Tsunoda now puts himself up into P4 with a set of soft tyres as well. Zhou Guanyu also on a set of softs goes up into B2.
So yeah, I definitely said the 124s would be on offer today, I reckon, in the session. I think they pretty much are. We're 0.24 seconds away from the 124s. 12 minutes remaining in the session. As the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, the last remaining one, is going on a hot lap for himself. He's down in 14th right now as he's coming through turn 7.
Yes, coming through turn 7 and 8, looking relatively composed, taking a few double stabs at the steering wheel in the second part of that corner. But Pierre Gasly now puts himself up in second, 0.2 behind Valtteri Bottas' time. It is so competitive for the top, as Leclerc is now fastest through the middle sector.
Yeah, so the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc now is going around very quickly. It's what he does in the final sector. Can he beat Bottas' sector 3 time? I reckon he probably will in that Ferrari. Nobody's caused the red flag as of yet, but I think everybody's going around very quickly on softs as well as mediums, and I think everyone's pushing it to the limit. My word, Charles Leclerc gets very close to the wall there. And just, as I say, I think they are pushing it to the limit here a little bit right at the end of the session, just to see proper pace. As Charles Leclerc crosses the line on the 124.809.
Sure. Very, very fast for himself. Now the first driver into the 124s, isn't it? Yes, yeah. It is the first drivers into the 124s.
Yeah, James, again, always not very happy with Max Verstappen generally. To be fair, Max Verstappen is quite an impatient person in both speech, racing, and everything else. And saying, just putting everyone in unnecessary danger and causing stupid situations for a complete lack of patience. Imagine if everyone starts deciding to do what Max does to them and have everyone overtaking. Well, we do, to be fair, have more than just Max Verstappen overtaking in the pits. It's quite common. Quite a few other drivers do. also quite like to do it. But yes, Max Verstappen, certainly one of those more impatient ones in the pits. As Hamilton's going around in a set of mediums, he's quite far down a Charles Leclerc's time, though.
I think Max Verstappen feels a little bit compromised in his riding and really wants to just get back out on circuit and get a little bit more comfortable with the setup, as he's currently down in P11 on his medium runs, compared to Lando Norris, who put himself in 7th on his medium run.
Well, just to go back to Andrew's comment, which was also a little bit earlier, just saying, I bet they are regretting letting their rookies drive for FP1 now. Most F1 drivers have had no practice. Well, actually, they're not regretting it at all, because they're not allowed to regret it. They have to let rookie drivers in for a session every year. 2 sessions need to be made available for rookie drivers throughout the season. And Red Bull hadn't had any rookie drivers throughout the whole season until the very final race.
You have to wonder why they left it till the absolute last race.
To secure the Constructors' Championship and Drivers' Championship and everything.
Constructors' Championship was done long ago, but I do understand the drivers
Perez.
for Perez, but swap out Max for one of the other races.
Maybe. And I think he's certainly probably getting a little bit angry about that right now. But this could have happened in another race weekend, and he'd be just as upset. So I think it's always going to happen if you have the red flags in the session. If there were no red flags in the session, nobody would be complaining. They'd be all fine. As the McLaren now goes past an Aston Martin completing a hot lap here, I think that's Lando Norris as he gets a little bit of traffic, I think, for the Williams, though he does eventually get out of the way. Looking obviously in that bay circuit with all those yachts, looking very, very beautiful now as we are in the night sky here in Abu Dhabi with just under 9 minutes to go in the session.
Just looking at recently, Toto Wolff has said some comments about Christian Horner, speaking about Hamilton's father reaching out towards him. He says, I just don't know what drives the guy. We just don't understand his thinking to come up with these things. What happened is that Christian, through an agency that we work with, wants to have Lewis's contact details to speak about the seat. That's how the whole thing went. It was Christian inquiring about Lewis's availability. I don't know what drives him to come out with this.
Well, it's going to be a battle of words, I think.
Anthony Hamilton has reached out to Christian Horner.
It's an interesting one because, you know, it's now he said, who said, and everyone's going to have a little bit of out at each other. Though that's, of course, something we can look at throughout the rest of the weekend in terms of what happens with that story. Fernando Alonso, meantime, is currently going around very quickly. He's gone quicker than Charles Leclerc in Sector 1. Sector 2's time is coming up now. He's on a set of softs in that Aston Martin. The Aston Martin and those Mercedes-powered cars have been going around very well. As he comes towards the end of Sector 2, is he faster than Leclerc's time? I think he might well be. As he comes he's just slightly down at plus point.
Verstappen finishes another medium lap, only puts himself in 9th. So still behind
Lando
the
Norris.
medium pace of Lando Norris and the McLarens.
Yeah, indeed. Fernando Alonso still going around his lap. He's currently about 0.4 seconds down on Leclerc's quickest time. But he should put himself up into 3rd right now unless he finds some more time in the final sector, which I think he will because he's nailing it. Very close to the wall there. And he's not any adjustments. It's fantastic to see him just holding on to it. Literally.
So confident on the steering wheel.
It's brilliant. As he comes across the line now, I think it's going to be a great final sector. Not quite, actually. Loses it at 0.58 seconds down in Leclerc's time. He moves himself up into 6th, which is not too bad. It's there and thereabouts with most of the drivers there. Valtteri Bottas and Charles Leclerc, though, in a league of their own right now.
Yes, they are. What can the likes of Max Verstappen, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, and the other Ferrari drivers, well, of course, the other Ferrari drivers out the session. I forgot about that. But, yeah, what can anyone else do to challenge those at the top?
Yeah, we'll have a look at that, of course. Now, Fernando Alonso might be slightly at a disadvantage as well because Felipe Drugovich was in his seat throughout the first practice session. Felipe Drugovich did very well himself, but he might have set up the car a little bit wrong for what Verstappen would like. As Verstappen jumps onto the radio and says the car is jumping like a kangaroo in the last sector. Well, the Australians will appreciate that, and they just get to copy that. As Lando Norris is now going around with a set of softs as well, his first soft retire run. And he's done well in the first sector. Let's see what he does in the second sector. Will he be quicker than Leclerc's time? He might well be up in Leclerc's time as he comes through that sector there. And he's just behind Leclerc. 0.009 seconds down in Leclerc's second sector time.
Verstappen's really not happy. He's dove back into the pits now. So they'll try and fix that issue in the last 6 minutes of the session.
Yeah, not been a good day for Max Verstappen. And he's also got some people out of sorts with regards to his overtaking in the pit lane. Nonetheless, Lando Norris is going around in the final sector. This could be potentially the new fastest lap of the day if he finishes it up quite well. Looks to be a very good lap. He's on a set of softs as he comes around the final couple of corners here, and he crosses the line in a 1:24.852, just down to Leclerc.
0.043 seconds, splitting those two drivers at the top. this is what we want to see for a pole shootout tomorrow afternoon.
Lindiwe makes such a good point, of course. Wonder how the Lewis Hamilton Christian Horner story will play out on Netflix's final episode and the Drive to Survive in the next season.
That will be hilarious.
That will be absolutely brilliant. I'm very keen to see what happens. The Drive to Survive, be sure to go and check those series out. They're quite interesting. They're quite over dramatized, but nonetheless still very interesting watching. We get to see a lot of behind the scenes as Hamilton's going around in a set of softs in that Mercedes. George Russell's done very well this weekend so far in FP1 and FP2 before we got the resumption after that red flag. Last John moves up to 9th, but let's see what his teammate Lewis Hamilton, George Russell that is, of course, his teammate Lewis Hamilton, can do on a set of softs. He comes towards sector 2 now. He's quite a bit down Leclerc's time already.
3. Yeah. So not being able to compete just yet, but what will his times be like? Maybe during qualifying tomorrow afternoon. Old Man Roo says one of my cousins is Max's boot.
Yes, he's being funny, of course. Max saying his car was jumping around a lot like a kangaroo. Yes, indeed, can't enjoy the tumour there. Hamilton is coming around the final 2 corners here, and he now comes around the final corner. What sort of time does he put in? Should be quite close. There's 124s, and he goes over now. Oh,
125.3.
So down in 5th, he's still behind those Alfa Romeos. Bottas and Zhou doing very well in those Alfa Romeos, up in 3rd and 4th. And good to see that the Alfa Romeos have got a little bit of pace in this session at least. Of course, they probably won't have it when it comes to qualifying, but good to see them having a little bit of a last hurrah. I was watching a replay of Max Verstappen coming out of the pits. I think this is right now.
Yeah,
on a set of softs.
New softs. What does he do? Does he get caught by some traffic? Or
Ooh.
Yes, he does.
Almost goes into the McLaren there. Oh, he just gets told, I think, a little bit too late.
Yes,
he does. But his engineer comes out last minute, says Piastri pit out, basically saying Verstappen just also a few expletives as he comes out. I think he got a little bit of a fright there, suddenly realizing that he's got a McLaren right on him basically as he comes out the pits. Luckily, he does well to avoid it. Now he starts his first fast lap on a set of softs. Let's see what the Red Bull can do.
I don't know what they're going to be able to do. They seem to be bottoming out there as they come down the elevation. 0.054 down on Leclerc's time through the first sector, though.
Yeah, so Ferrari, of course, of Charles Leclerc, by the way, out of nowhere. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That happened ages ago. Just being confirmed by Lindiwe, of course, that Alfa Romeo has a Ferrari engine. So the Ferrari engines are now, this session, doing quite well up there, 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Verstappen's 2nd sector time. Let's see what that is, because he was slightly down on Leclerc, of course, in the 1st sector. I don't think the car is quite right for him yet. I think he's still a little bit upset about that as he comes
that
towards.
Was very close to Hamilton as he got past him. Maybe just trying to get a little bit of the DRS, waiting for his 2nd sector time to come through.
Still
0.2 down now on Leclerc.
Perez also following his teammate. Let's see what sort of times he puts in. His 0.4 down was Max Verstappen in sector 2. Perez is how far down? So 0.2 down. Perez is up on Leclerc's time. So Sergio Perez is going around quicker than Max Verstappen in his car. So that might be concerning as well, because Perez really shouldn't be quicker.
Well, not shouldn't, but usually isn't quicker than Verstappen in the Red Bull car. Let's see what Verstappen can put in as he comes across the line. Now he goes only up into 3rd with 124.9. Sergio Perez follows suit, coming through the final sector now as well. He's coming down the turn 15 and 16 corners.
I think
now
he's had a mess up. No, he's messed up.
No, he hasn't. He's still pushing.
No, but he's messed up because he's far down on the time there. Whole 4.6 seconds. So he had a big error. I imagine he must have just had a bit of oversteer and then just had to correct the car quite a lot. Disappointing for him. I think we could have seen a very fast lap there from him, possibly the fastest lap of the day. So Verstappen at least he's into the 124s, but still slower than Norris and Leclerc.
0.1.
And 0.17 seconds down. And those Alfa Romeos are not exactly very far behind him either. So concerned there for Max Verstappen and Red Bull, although I think Perez would have gone around as the quickest driver had he not messed up in that final sector. We're in the final 2 minutes. George Russell has currently got a 0.59 second gap to his teammate Lewis Hamilton ahead of him, but he's going around on a fast lap as well.
1 minute and 30 seconds left of this session on the clock, but it has been a bit of a disjointed session, is the right way to describe it, I think, because it's had 2 red flags, because of the crashes of Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. But we're seeing some running now, very, very close between Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen a little bit off the pace, but still within touching distance, 0.1.
Exactly. So we're into the final minute now. George Russell's come. Oh, I think he's getting ready to just an outlap.
He's
getting ready to push now. So we'll see what sort of time he puts in right at the engine. Can he top the session like he did in FP1? We'll find out right now. Lindy would also let us know in the comments. Alfa, Haas, and Ferrari have interesting 1-lap pace, but come race day, race pace this appears 100% correct. Has been their problem the entire season. VK18 edits said, will Mercedes Can Mercedes be better than Ferrari this weekend?
We'll have to wait and see. During the first session, they looked like they were, but now during the second session, it looks like the Ferrari-powered cars have the upper hand. But as I say that, George Russell takes the first sector by 0.1.
Yeah, Lindy was saying, except for the few outlier Grand Prix like Vegas and Singapore, of course, with regards to Ferrari not losing too much pace. Yeah, I think Ferrari probably won't lose that much pace come race pace this weekend. I think they should be okay. But it's true, their qualifying pace has been significantly down on their race pace throughout the entire season. That's something they need to fix for next season.
You were asking about the time from the green flag to the next red flag, Mark.
Yeah.
150 seconds.
So that is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So I said we were there for about 2 to 3 minutes, and it was exactly right. Russell's quite far down in Leclerc's time in Sector 2. He was up in Sector 1, but down in Sector 2. But his final sector is usually very good. We've seen already so far, although a big correction he had to make. So I think he's going to lose a bit of time there. So I don't think it's going to be the best time from George Russell. He might not even beat his teammate Lewis Hamilton as he comes around the final few turns. Perez is on another push lap. He's beaten his personal best in Sector 1. Let's see what he can do in Sector 2 as well. So the Red Bull's going around seemingly one more time just to try and get a quick pace as possible. Verstappen, I think, is also on another hot lap. Russell comes across the line now and only a 125.1. Ahead of his teammate Hamilton, but still down on those top 4 runners. Bottas still holding out in 4th position. Perez, though, going around very quickly in Sector 2. He's still up on Leclerc's time. It's slower than his best his best sector, rather, but still quicker than Leclerc. Can he still now get all of his turns together in this final sector? He lost it a little bit last time and he couldn't finish the lap. Can he finish it? He's our last proper lap runner, although Verstappen also going around very quickly. What can those two Red Bulls do? Right at the end of the session, he gets very close to the wall there.
With the steering wheel, though, is Perez. Coming through the last sector now, what can he do? He's down in the middle sector. Coming through the final corner now, neat and tidy through there, slightly over the track limits. Comes across line, only 5th for himself for now. Max Verstappen also coming through the final sector at the moment. What can he do? He comes across the line now. Does he go faster?
No.
He does not.
Oh dear, a bit
Slow
of
in the
concern
final
for Red
sector.
Bull there. So couldn't improve upon their pace there. And as you say, Perez struggling with that wheel, as we now do have finally the finish of FP2. Quite a red flag ridden session and a bit of a messy session, but eventually we did have a bit of running right at the end here. All on softs. I think maybe qualifying simulations. Possibly a lot of DRS was open, and of course they had down laps in between that. So one imagines these were quali sims. But that is the end of Free Practice 2 here on Forever Sports. We're going to do a review right now on Forever Motorsports. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be dragged us into that. You'll see a little message that comes up and say, go watch that video. Please come and watch us. Let us know your thoughts of this session. But that ends it. Leclerc first. Norris in second. Verstappen in third, as all these drivers now do their practice race starts for Sunday's race. But I think it's all still up in the air as to what's going to happen this race weekend.
Yes, it certainly is still very much up in the air over who will top the charts on Sunday. But thank you very much for joining us here on Forever Sports. We're going to be going across to Forever Motorsports next, as Mark says. Do be sure to join us for that. And also check out our channel partners, BITDEFENDER and BOYLESPORTS. BITDEFENDER running a Black Friday special as well as BOYLESPORTS. Be sure to go and check that out in the link in the description.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go and do the review right now. Cheerio.